Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with my ranking of the Elm Street franchise. So I've been meaning to do this ranking for a while now, and I can see that some of my friends have beat me to it on here, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I will also be filming my Freddy Krueger tag video response to Sean Urshan, so keep an eye out for that. But first, here it is, my ranking of the A Nightmare on Elm Street films from least favorite to favorite. Coming in last place, my least favorite film in the franchise is Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Now for this spot, it wasn't even a thought. I immediately knew that Freddy's Dead would take last place. I can't place specifically what it is about this film that I don't enjoy. It just feels different from the rest of the series. Freddy's probably at his most comedic here, and I know some people like that, but I prefer the more menacing Freddy. Admittedly, there are some pretty cool kills in this one, and I do like what they did with the John Doe character, but other than that, this one's just not for me. There is also, of course, a twist in this one that you see coming from a mile away. So for me, Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare is my least favorite in the Elm Street franchise. Next up is the A Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Now, I talked a bit about this one in my top favorite horror remakes video, so you already know my thoughts on this one. I definitely think it's an underrated remake, and it gets a lot more hate than it deserves. I get it. I know a lot of people were disappointed that Robert Englund wasn't going to return to play Freddy Krueger again. You know, he is Freddy Krueger. He's a horror icon, a legend. We can all agree on that. But I think Jackie Earle Haley was fantastic in this. He did a great job stepping into the role. It was big shoes to fill, and he did it. You know, in my mind, he did. You know, I don't necessarily like the look of Freddy. I mentioned that in my remakes video as well. There's something sort of animalistic about his appearance, something about the face. I didn't really like that, but again, it didn't take away from Jackie Earle Haley's performance for me. He had a very menacing tone, that creepy tone in his voice. I love that. I do like the storyline in this one. It's a modern take, of course. You have a modern cast. Rooney Mara could have been better, I'll admit that, as Nancy, but despite all that, I do enjoy this remake, and as I said, I definitely think it deserves a lot more credit than it gets. But either way, it's second to last in my Elm Street ranking. Next is Freddy vs. Jason. Is it a Nightmare on Elm Street film? Is it a Friday the 13th film? Well, in this video, it's an Elm Street flick. I talked about this one in my Friday the 13th franchise ranking, so again, you know my thoughts on this. I really enjoyed it. I think they did a great job bringing the two icons together. When I first heard that this film was going to be made, I really didn't know what to expect. I thought it might be too silly, how are they going to bring Freddy and Jason together in one movie and sort of make it believable, and it's as believable as it can be being this type of film, but I really didn't have high hopes for it. And I have to say, when I first saw it, I really, really enjoyed it. This is definitely one I rewatch often, when it comes on TV, and every now and then I'll pop it in. If you like Elm Street films, if you like Friday the 13th films, there's something for everyone in here, and Freddy's great in this, and I still stand by the fact that he won the fight. Next up is A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. This one sort of pulled a Friday the 13th Part 2 in bringing back the survivors only to kill them off right away. So that was a bit disappointing. It was exciting to see Kincaid especially again. He was my favorite one from Dream Warrior, so it was great to see him, in the beginning of the film, only to unfortunately have him taken away so quickly. It's almost as if you're asking yourself, what was the point? Of course, with Patricia Arquette being pregnant in real life, she had to be replaced as Kristen by Tuesday night, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I did enjoy her performance as well. So, that wasn't terrible, but it still has that kind of, it still gives you kind of that weird feeling, as if you're just not supposed to notice. It makes it laughable in a way. And I know they really had no choice. It's better than just not including the Kristen character at all. But, I don't know. It's a horror film, I guess, so I really shouldn't be thinking too much about that. This one does, once again, have some pretty cool kills, including the infamous roach scene, and it does introduce Alice, who is probably my favorite heroine in the entire series. So those are two big pluses for me. But other than that, this one is just sort of in the middle. It's not one of my least favorites, but it's definitely not one of my favorites either. Coming in 5th place here is A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. I actually rewatched this one tonight because why not rewatch a movie that you've seen 1,000 times when you have 1,000 other movies in your collection that you've never seen? You all know how it is. And I have to say, I do really enjoy this one. I love the concept of the Dream Warriors with them all having different powers to fight Freddy in their dreams. It's great. I know the majority of fans tend to choose this as their favorite Elm Street sequel, and rightfully so. Technically, it probably is the best sequel. You have the return of Nancy, the return of John Saxon in this one. That's fantastic. You know, the way Freddy is stopped in this one is realistic. It seems like a fitting end for the character. Great cast. So it's all there. You know, it has that great setting as well in the mental hospital. But for me, for whatever reason, this is where it starts to come into personal taste. Because as much as I enjoy this, I actually enjoy the films I'm ranking higher than this just a bit more. Next up is Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I love the movie within a movie, world within a world storyline in this one. And it also features, in my opinion, the scariest version of Freddy Krueger. This one also has Gage from Pet Sematary, who is quite a bit older, but still acting creepy. New Nightmare has a very exciting climax that literally takes place in hell, and I really love the ending. It's all a big movie, and we are all just part of the script. Into the top 3 now, and coming in at number 3 is A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddys Revenge. This is a very worthy follow-up to the original that does not get nearly enough credit. After seeing Nancy as the final girl in the first film, it was kind of refreshing to see a final guy in the sequel. I also like the sort of different mythos in this one, with Freddy literally coming out of Jesse. Hold your jokes, I've heard them all. Freddy's Revenge has what is probably my favorite opening scene in the franchise with the school bus, and of course there is also that classic pool party scene. I love this one. It's so much fun. Alright, I'm ready for all the disappointed head shaking. A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, is my second favorite film in the Elm Street franchise. Which also, if you're keeping track, makes it my favorite sequel in the series. Crazy, right? I know, but I love this one. I mentioned earlier that Alice is my favorite heroine in the franchise, and this is the movie where she really shines. While this sequel features what I believe is the lowest death toll in the series, the kill scenes that are included are the best of the franchise. We have a guy being merged with his motorcycle, a woman literally being force-fed her own intestines, and another guy being killed in a comic book. All very unique and very memorable. We also get some great stuff regarding Freddy's background in this one. Some of the information we received earlier in the franchise, but here we get to see it unfold on screen. But best of all, what really makes this my favorite Elm Street sequel is the storyline. I just think it's so clever and so intelligent. We have Alice, who is the new Dream Master, able to control her dreams, but Freddy is still somehow managing to get to her friends. We find out that Alice is in fact pregnant, and Freddy has returned through the nightmares of her unborn child. Most people would probably have A Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, at the bottom of their ranking. But for me, it's just the opposite, because it's my second favorite film in the Elm Street franchise. And so, my number 1 pick and favorite film in the Elm Street series needs no introduction. It's of course, the original. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. A classic. Do I really even need to explain why? No. I don't think so. So that's it, guys, for my ranking of the Elm Street franchise. I'll be filming my Freddy Krueger tag video response for Sean Urshan next, so stay tuned for that. Comment below, let me know how you would rank the Elm Street films, and as always, if you feel up to it, post a video response. Thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it.